Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. And the parasha of this morning, as I said, is called Parshas Shemini. Shemini meaning the 8th day. 8th day. And we all understand that 8, that figure or that number called number 8 is in according to our sages and according to the Kabbalists. It gives us the understanding, right, that 8 meaning what? A beginning, a new beginning. To start again. So anytime we see, even though in the world, right, the last World War happened how many years ago? You can tell me. The last World War, the Second World War, happened when? How many years ago?
60 years ago.
No.
42.
No. How many years ago now? How many years ago now? It's now
15.
50. No, it's more than that, my friend. It's now 70. It's now over 75 years ago.
Yeah, 40 something.
It was started in 1942, right? So or 1943. So it's now over 75. It's going to be like 78, 79 years ago now, right? If I'm not mistaken. And the people, they have been thinking. Some people in the West have been thinking that it is overdue, that a new world war needs to come. You see, so God is giving us a new beginning. It might not be a world war. It might not be anything but it's going to take destruction to rebuild. We need to understand that principle. Something is destroyed, and another one, a new one, comes from it. Understand? When a maize, Yeshua gave that analogy, right? When you plant a seed, right? When you plant it, that seed can never grow if that seed does not die. You need to understand, it's a circle of life. A seed can only grow when the seed died. That seed died, then it grows. And when it grows, it becomes a tree. When it becomes a tree, it yields a seed. Millions and millions and millions. It's a circle of life. It is like that. And how is it like that? Only God understands. But it's a circle of life. A plant cannot grow without you burying it first. When you bury it, you cover it, you water it grows. Alright? So that is it. God is giving us understanding through nature, that we should understand what He's doing. And even though in other country analogy, they will give us Greek mythology or Indian mythology, they give us all kinds of understanding that for a new thing to come, the old has to be destroyed to rebuild a new thing. So many people have been thinking that there must be another war, and which we can see now. If all of us are listening to the news of what is going on, you see there is a tectonic shifting in the world geopolitics that is going on in the world right now in this present moment. See, those people who thought they are the Lord of the world, those people that thought that they are the king, those people that thought that they are the controller of the world, are losing their powers, and they will never want that to happen, because you'll be sitting as a king for over how many years? For over 500 years. Remember, Europe is the king of the world for over 500 years, and now it's shifting to the east. And so the Europeans doesn't want that to happen, and they don't care. It will take blood to take anything. They want to just remain as the controller of the world. But the crown has been shifted. The crown has been taken and given to another. So it is us who has to understand what is going on, and we have to open our eyes very, very clean. Well, we have to prepare ourselves. So I subtitled this parasha "Going Extra Mile." To go extra mile. You see, we need to understand what does it mean to go extra mile. Because God gave us a commandment. For example, I'll give an example. God said, have a seat for 10 minutes. Right? And you sit down for 10 minutes. But because you love God so much, because you are too filled with the Spirit, because you say, oh God, I love you with all my soul, with all my mind, with all my spirit. Instead of me sitting for 10 minutes, I'm going to sit for 15 minutes. The question is, did God ask 15 minutes? That's what the problem is. God never asked 15 minutes. God asked 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, stand up. But he said, no, I love you, God. I'm going to wait for 15 minutes, 5 minutes extra. But whatever consequence that you see, it is yours. God does not command 15 minutes. He said 10 minutes. And there's a reason why he said 10 minutes. So we are going to see that problem in today's parasha. What makes the son of Aaron to go and make a fire before God that is not commanded? God never commanded it. God didn't say, bring this fire before me. God has given them the instruction of what he wants them to do. But they went extra mile. That is not commanded. And they faced the consequence of their actions. This sidrah, which means this book, contains one of the most difficult passages in the entire Torah. Those 3 tense verses that describe the death of the son of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu. It tells the story of how, on the day of the consecration of the tabernacle, which means the Mishkan, these 2 young men, on their own initiative, made their own offering to God, a strange fire that God has not commanded, and how a fire comes out from before God and consumes them. It is a story of premature death, of people who die young before they have reached the fullness of years. It is about the extra mile. It's also about how to deal with the tense or the sense of outrage when this happens. Going extra mile. Did God commanded you to do that? You see, this is what we have been saying in our history among our people. Most of our people tend to become what? To become radicalized. They tend to go to the extremism. See, and God never liked extremists at all. In the Torah, you can never find extremism. Never. Israel is not this pure and holy, because in the imagination of the nations, in the imagination of the people, other people, they think, oh, Israel is a human being like you and me. I am an Israelite. The blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is flowing in my vein. I have the DNA of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Am I not a human being? I have blood. My blood is red like your own. We are the same human being. You cannot idealize people. No. Israel came out as a what? As a congregation of nations. Not just one group of people with this pure and holier than thou. No. Israel came out as a multitude of people. There are other nations that gather together with them, that obey and listen and obey God, and they led together with Moshe. He said, and what? And Erevrah. And other people, they came. It's not only Israelites that came out of what? Of Mizraim. Everybody were there that came up. Are you going to say those people are not Israelites, so they won't obey the Torah? No. The Holy One, blessed be He, said that the Torah shall be one for the residents, for the slaves, for the immigrants, for everybody. You shall have one Torah. You cannot have 2 Torah. Like what we are seeing in the world today. Some of the rabbis, they tell you, the Israelites shall obey the 10 commandments. That is good for Israelites, for those who are Hebrew, right? For the others, don't worry, you can do Noahic law. You can obey 7. Don't obey the other one. What type of a sense is this? Did you ever see that in the Torah? The Torah, God said the Torah shall be one for the proselyte and for the indigent. One. Everybody shall obey the same thing. So this is what we are seeing here when people become extremism. When people go to the extra mile to do what God has not commanded. God has not commanded this. And we can also see, even though in Israel now, you see, you go out, they tell you, oh, these are Ethiopians. What does that mean? I am an Ethiopian, yes, I'm proud of it. So why should you say because I am an Ethiopian, I am not as good as you? What does that have to do? And this is what part of what is coming out as what we call racism. Who want people, a group of people would like to say, you know what? I am a Jew and you are not a Jew. Who are you to clarify who is a Jew and who is not a Jew? That is the question that I am asking most of people and most of the rabbis. God has said that we are all Jews and we are all descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So here we can see this extremism. It is not from yesterday. It is not from today. It has been from long time. You know, people want to do extra thing, but that I'm not saying is bad. If you look at it from the side of a human being, from the side of a human being, you see what they are doing is a good thing. You know, go extra mile because at work, right? For example, in our work, they say your boss wants you to go extra mile. Yeah, you know, I want you to do this and this, and you do this. Your boss can say, wow, that is good, that's fantastic. But in the sight of God, it doesn't work that way. In the spiritual realm, it doesn't work that way. Because you have to do what? You have to do exactly what you are commanded. Yesterday in the Shabbat, the rabbin gave an analogy which I never even expected that. It really struck me, and I thought about that all night long. The Mishkan, she said, was like a what? Like a lab, a chemistry lab, a chemical lab. That is what the Mishkan is like a laboratory. And we have the chief scientist, right? And the chief scientist is who? Is God. And we have the word stage, we call it stagiaire, the intern, you know, like a student. So the student is Kohen Gadol, right? And his son. Those are the students. And the chief scientist tells you, okay, you mix this chemical with this chemical, right? And you get this chemical. When you mix this and you mix this, you get this. When you do this and you do this, you get this. And the students, take for example now, Nadab and Abihu, say, oh yeah, I know everything now, I understand. That is good, fantastic. But I can try this and this. But if you try this chemical and this chemical, and you don't even know what the result will be, that can destroy you. Because the Torah gives us this understanding that the fire came out from God and burned them from within. What does that mean? Their flesh was normal, but their inner was burned. What was that? You see, if we look at this from the present way of understanding, we will say that they have been consumed by chemicals because they are burned in within, because it went through their nose and burned them in within. So we can see such a deadly chemical reaction. So that is what God is telling us individually, that if you are not commanded to do anything, don't do it. You only do exactly what you are commanded to do. If God says stand up 2 minutes, you stand up 2 minutes and you sit down. You listen and wait for the next command. You can't just go and say, okay, oh, God said 2 minutes, I wait 2 minutes, let me go and do another thing. No, you are not commanded to do that. Do exactly what you are commanded. Our tradition relates to the story of the death of Nadab and Abihu in one of two ways. As it is said that 2 Jews, 3 opinions. I can even say more than that, alright? Because we have different kinds of interpretation to what happens to the children of Aaron. The mainstream majority interpretation and the mystical minority view. The first, which I found truly, obnoxious, simply blame the victim. The second, to which I have always been drawn, is the past, which means the spiritual interpretation of it sees it in a profound redemptive mystery. Maybe there is a third part today on how to interpret, but I prefer not to look at that way. The rabbis of the Talmud noted that the short description of the 2 youngsters' death is followed by an injunction against priests drinking alcohol before entering to perform the divine service, and include that the 2 were drunk. Another similar interpretation is that they were disrespectful of their elders. 2 Jews, 3 opinions. We find here no sense of outrage or even mysteries. Even attention is given later to Aaron's grief and his way of mourning, which is in silence. What am I trying to give us this understanding here? There are different kinds of interpretation to what happened to these 2 young men. The most popular one is that they were drunk. And so because they were drunk, because remember it was the day of their what? Of their consecration. That was the day of their consecration, the way they were anointed, the day they were officially given as Kohen Gadol or the Kohanim. Maybe they had a lot of drinks and they didn't know what they are doing, and they went to the holy of holy to go and offer a foreign fire, and they died. There's another interpretation that said that they were so consumed by the love of God, they were so consumed by the power of God that they went extra mile to do what they were not commanded. And there is another interpretation also that that mentioned about the consequence of Aaron for sending away the two sons of Moshe. Remember that Moshe has two sons, right? And after the Israelites came out from Egypt, and their grandfather, which is Yitro, brought them, and after that, we never heard anything about them again in the Torah. The Sage said that, there was a kind of problems in the family that Aaron sent them away, right? And so therefore, because Aaron sent them away, then Aaron faced the consequence of his action. So we can see all kinds of interpretation. There's all kinds of interpretation to it. But what I just want us to understand here, that I want to bring out, is we do not understand most of spiritual things. And if you don't understand what you don't understand, don't do it. Don't put your hand in the thing that you don't know, because it might bond you because you don't know. But if you know, then you can do it. But if you don't know, then do not put your hand to what you don't understand. So this is my own kind of final conclusion. Do not go extra mile to what you are not commanded, especially when it comes to the spiritual interpretation. But when it's a physical thing, like in your work, like in your daily life, in your family life, in your home, yes, you can go extra mile. But remember, it is not necessary that it can correlate exactly to spiritual life. It's different. So we have to always remind ourselves that what God commanded, that is what exactly I'm going to do. And we can see that several times in the Torah. And the Torah gives us the understanding of also on how someone can deal with such a grief. That Aaron, he was speechless. He was like dumb. He was completely speechless. He was in silence. But it was burning in his heart. It was, but that he lost two sons in one day. It is not easy for a man, for a woman, for a mother, for a father, for any person, family member, to lose two family members in one particular day. It is saddening. So, but the understanding here is that even though when such a thing happens, we should always remain calm. It is extremely important. Don't rush. Don't be always remain calm. Always remain calm. Because you can see that also in the plane, right? When you are taking a plane, the air hostess, before the plane starts, they demonstrate for you, that if in case of an emergency, please no chaos. Don't shout, don't shout. Everybody has to remain calm and try to move out peacefully. So, because when there is a chaos, there's always a problem. You lose control of your mind. And when you lose control of your mind, that is when the enemy is happy. He will come, he will sneak in like a virus, sneak in to disturb you. But when you remain calm, that means that you can calculate your actions, you calculate what you are doing. And when the enemy see, this man is not moved, this man remains calm, and this man is calculating his movement and his action, he gets even more annoyed, right? Because you remain calm, because you are not disorganized. The plan of the enemy is to disorganize us, is to make us so that we will not know our left from our right. But once we remain calm, we know what we are doing. A first intimation that this interpretation may not be correct can be found in the book of 2 Samuel, and it tells another story of sudden or early death it happens when David is trying to transport the ark to Jerusalem on an open horse cart with great ceremony and music. Suddenly, one of the oxen stumbled, and as the ark started to fall, Uzzah, apparently someone who just happened to be there, put out his hand to save it. God is angry at him for this, and he is struck dead immediately, doing the right thing at the wrong time. You see, doing the right thing at the wrong time. So I'm giving us another explanation here, or another example of what happened to a young man that died suddenly too. This young man was what? His name is Uzzah, and he was just there when the ark was about to fall. And in the human sense, you are going to say, okay, what he did nothing wrong. That what he did was to do what? Was to stretch his hand to do what? To save the ark, so that the ark will not fall down. So the question now is, who is God? Is Uzzah God? Can a human being save God? Or is it God that saves human being? We decide. Because we can see a lot of people that say, you know what, I have to defend my God. I have to kill people to defend my God. What type of a crazy person is that? It is God to defend you, not you to defend God. Because you have no power to defend even yourself. A man that cannot even help himself want to go and help another person. Then he need to check his mind. It is God that defends us, not us trying to defend God. No, that's what God is telling Uzzah. You cannot defend me. You cannot help me. I help you. So we need to understand what the Torah is teaching us in all these examples that are just given. When it comes to a spiritual understanding, when it comes to a spiritual thing, it is very, very delicate. If you don't understand, don't put your hand. So you have to understand before you can put your hand. Before you can say, okay, let me take step 1, or let me put my step back, or let me take step 2, or let me remain where I am. So this is just my own kind of understanding for this Parshas Shemini. Going extra mile. So which extra mile are you going? Who commanded you to do it? I'm not blaming Nadab and Abihu. No, but what I'm saying is that they did what is not commanded them. And that to God is, people will say, okay, you know what? Is that a mistake for you to love God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind? Is that not is that not what God commanded? Yes, that was what God commanded in Shema Israel, right? Hear, O Israel, love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your resources. But are you commanded to do that which God did not ask you to do? That's another thing. So we, as a child of God, we as the children of Israel, have to understand very, very, very important thing in this parasha, the 8th day, a new beginning. And after that, God gave a commandment that if a Kohen Gadol wants to come before him, that Kohen Gadol shall not have an alcohol. Immediately after that event, there is this command that came out from God. And we can see also that in today's parasha was the first time ever that God himself spoke directly unto Aaron the Kohen Gadol. God never spoke to Aaron Kohen Gadol directly. Never, ever. God always passed through who? Through Moshe. God speak to Moshe and Moshe speak to Aaron. That was the way it was. But because of this event, the Torah said and God spoke to Aaron the Kohen Gadol. Why is God speaking to him directly by passing Moshe? It's a question that we have to ask too. Why? Because God is trying to console him, telling this is what they did wrong. You cannot just appear before me. God is not your it's not your grandpapa's house or your grandmama's house. They can just box in and do whatever you want to do. Even though in your parents' house, nowadays I know children are not trained now. In those days, in my days, for you to come to enter your papa's room, you do what? You knock. Papa, can I come in? You ask a request. Oh yeah, come in. Then you come. You can't just go. Oh boom. That is disrespectful. And that is exactly what this man did. No, you can't do that. I know that they love God. I understand that. I know that they love with all their soul, with all their spirit. I understand that. But are you commanded to come in? You're not asked to come in yet. You can't just box in and do whatsoever that you think that you want to do. So it's a very deep lesson for us individually and collectively. What are we doing exactly what we are commanded? Or we say, okay, because I am an extremist, and I said God hates extremism. You can never find extremists in the Torah. Never. So God hates those people that say, okay, I am holier than thou. Everybody is a sinner. I am the only one that is holy. I'm the only one that serves God. The rest of people, nobody ever serve God like me. Oh, you know what? I will go and kill everybody in the name of God. I will slaughter people. Come on. Are you commanded to do that? And we can also see another example before we close in the Torah, whereby God commanded a man, a king, said, go, remember what Amalek did. Go and destroy Amalek. What did the man do? He take all the big one, the good thing, the fat cow, the gold, the diamond, the silver. He took everything, put it in his pocket, and the one that is not good, the one that like this, he killed them, right? But the good one, the fat one, he saved them. And God went to who? To Samuel. He said, I sent Saul to do a job. He didn't do his job. But the man came and said, yes, I did my job. I killed them all. So who did you kill? The weak one. The one that cannot defend themselves. But the one that can defend themselves, you did not kill. You did not touch. The one that has money, they can bribe you. They give you money, okay, you go. And the other one, $10. I don't have $10. Kill. You see, that is what we call it extremism. Did God command you to do that? No. The commandment is kill everybody. That is it. And you go and do what you are commanded. But this is what I'm saying, and this cost Shaul his kingdom. This cost Shaul the crown. This cost Shaul the death of his son Jonathan. So we can understand when God commands us to do a particular job, please let us do it exactly the way we are commanded, not going extra mile. Do what we are doing. That is it. And if God says do more, you do more. When God says stop, you stop. When God says continue, you continue. And also in the construction of the Mishkan, finally, we can see that the Torah said, and everything was done exactly the way it was shown Moshe on the mountain. Everything was done exactly. Not extra mile. No. Not less. Not more. But Toshka. 100% exactly. So this is what God is telling us, that we have to do things exactly the way we are commanded. Don't try to put your own juice. God doesn't need your juice. Don't put salt. God doesn't need your salt. If God needs salt, He will ask to put salt. If God say, okay, I want you to put what do you call it? Put spices. You put spices. And if God say don't put, I say, oh, it didn't smell good. Maybe I can put spices. But on your own, then you are disobeying. It's total disobedience. But God never asked, put spices. God said, cook. Yeah, you cook. And that is it. Because say, put spices, put salt, put pepper, you put pepper, put tomato, you put tomato. So let's do exactly what God has commanded us. Don't let us, be like this, holier than thou, people or that want to show that they are the only one that know God and no any other person that know God in the world. And the Mishkan was dedicated on that day, and we can also see the Rashi of the week. The Rashi of the week gives us the understanding of 10 things that happen, just like the way God speaks 10 words. We shall not go that deep in the Torah study downstairs. I'm going to go deep in the Rashi of the week. So we can see that there was 10 things that happened on that day, and that 10th thing corresponds to the 10 words that create the universe. So I'm going to go deep into that and give us more understanding of Kabbalah so that we can know what we are doing. As I said, if you don't know things, don't do it. But when you know things, you can get more understanding and you can do it. Parshas Shemini, going extra mile. Shabbat Shalom.